You wake up already tired, as if sleep never really touched you. Your body feels heavy, but the weight isn't physical. You haven't done anything yet, and somehow you're already behind. The day hasn't started, but you feel late to your own life. You sit still, scrolling, staring, waiting for energy to arrive. It doesn't come, and that silence feels personal. You tell yourself you're lazy, broken, unmotivated. The word nothing becomes an accusation you repeat in your head. You rest, but the rest doesn't rest you. Even stillness feels loud inside. Your mind keeps scanning, replaying, anticipating. It never really sits down. You feel tired in a way sleep can't fix. It's a deeper exhaustion, quieter but heavier. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. This tiredness didn't start today. It follows you into calm moments, even into joy. You notice it most when nothing is happening. You wonder why doing nothing feels harder than doing something. That question quietly scares you. You compare yourself to people who seem energized by rest. You assume something is wrong with you. But here's what you never noticed. Your body isn't resting when you stop moving. Inside, something stays alert, like a guard who never leaves their post. You breathe, but the breath doesn't land. Your chest stays tight, even in silence. This is where most people misunderstand themselves. They call it fatigue, but it's vigilance. You didn't choose this. Your nervous system did. At some point, being on kept you safe. Awareness became your armor. You learned to notice everything. Tone, pauses, shifts in energy. Your mind stayed one step ahead, just in case. It worked then. But here's the part no one warns you about. What saved you once is hurting you now. Doing nothing removes distractions. And that's when your system feels most exposed. So it stays tense. It calls that tension tired. You feel exhausted because your mind never clocks out. Even peace feels like a threat. This wasn't your personality. It was survival. You adapted to an environment that required readiness. Rest wasn't safe then, so your body learned to stay awake inside. Even when life calmed down. You may not remember the moment this started, but your nervous system does. It remembers pressure without release, responsibility without softness. So now, stillness doesn't feel neutral, it feels like falling. And you mistake that fear for exhaustion. You blame your energy instead of listening to it. This is why rest feels unsatisfying. Your system doesn't trust the pause. It waits for something to go wrong. It always has. So even when you do nothing, something inside is working overtime, and that work is invisible. You don't feel productive, but you are depleted. That confusion hurts quietly. You start questioning your identity. Why can't I just relax like others? But here's what changes everything. There is nothing wrong with your capacity. Your system is doing exactly what it learned to do. It's just doing it in a safer world now. And this explains why rest feels empty. You aren't failing at relaxation. You're still protecting something that no longer needs constant defense. The habit stayed longer than the danger, and this is only the surface. Because once you see this, the tiredness starts to make sense. Here's the painful part. Your exhaustion isn't caused by what you do, but by what you're holding. You carry unfinished emotional movements, feelings that never got to complete their cycle. Your system learned to pause expression, not release it, so everything stayed inside. And here's what drains you. Suppressed motion still requires energy. Imagine holding a door shut for years. Even standing still becomes exhausting. This is how your nervous system lives, always containing, never exhaling fully. And this explains why doing nothing feels worse than distraction. Silence removes the pressure valve. So your mind fills the space. Thoughts rush in to keep you occupied. Overthinking isn't curiosity here. It's containment. You think to avoid feeling. And that thinking costs energy. This is why rest never feels deep. Your attention never fully disengages. It's always scanning for emotional weight, always asking, is it safe now? And here's what you rarely hear. Safety isn't a thought, it's a sensation. You can't think your way into rest. Your body has to believe it. But your body learned a different rule. Stillness meant vulnerability. So now, calm feels suspicious. Ease feels undeserved. This wasn't weakness. It was adaptation. Your system optimized for endurance, not restoration. That's why you can function while exhausted. You learn to run on reserve. But reserves were never meant to be permanent. Here's another layer most people miss. Fatigue can hide grief. Not dramatic grief. Quiet, unfinished loss. Loss of safety. Loss of ease. Loss of a version of you that rested freely. Your body remembers that version and misses it. So tiredness becomes a signal, not a failure. A message without words. It says, I've been holding too much for too long. And this explains why pushing harder never works. Pressure only tightens the grip. You try to discipline exhaustion. But exhaustion isn't disobedience. It's communication from a system that adapted too well. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need more motivation. You need permission your body never received. Permission to soften without consequences. Permission to pause without losing control. But your system doesn't trust permission yet. And the pattern says, stay alert. Stay ready. Stay contained. This is why change feels slow. You're not convincing your mind. You're renegotiating safety with your nervous system. And that process is quiet, invisible, non-linear. But something important is already happening. Awareness loosens the grip. Because once you see the pattern, the tiredness stops feeling like a personal flaw. There's a moment when something inside you stops fighting the explanation. Not relief, just quiet recognition. You realize the tiredness was never random. It was consistent, patient, waiting to be understood. This is where the pressure eases slightly. Not because anything changed, but because blame disappeared. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start sensing, what happened to me? That shift matters more than it looks. It changes the direction of attention. Your body notices the difference, not as words, but as a fraction less tension. You're no longer trying to fix yourself. You're finally listening. And listening feels unfamiliar, almost empty at first. That emptiness isn't absence. It's space that was never allowed before. Your system doesn't relax all at once. It tests. It waits. Small moments feel different now. A pause doesn't immediately collapse into guilt. You still feel tired sometimes, but it no longer feels like failure. It feels like a message you're finally fluent enough to hear. This wasn't your personality. It was survival, and survival can be thanked, not punished. You don't force change here. You allow recalibration. Slowly, your nervous system learns a new association. Stillness doesn't always mean danger. Nothing dramatic happens. No breakthrough moment, just less noise. And in that quiet, energy doesn't rush back. It settles. You understand something clearly now. You were never tired from doing nothing. You were tired from holding everything without rest, without release, without being seen.